Welcome. Welcome. It's a little different, right? We're excited to welcome you guys here to the future site of ALTA Marlborough, which you're going to hear about shortly. But I'm not going to give my normal presentation tonight, but we did just want to give a few quick things about what's going on in Marlborough, because we are here to, as our annual Marlborough MEDC Founders event, celebrate the success of both MEDC and the city of Marlborough over the past year. Happy to report that Marlborough is booming. Things are going really well, thanks to all of you here in this room. But over the last year, since the last time we saw you guys, Lifeline Systems agreed to come to Marlborough, bringing 300 jobs to Donald Lynch Boulevard. We also, right? Big deal. Exciting. We also have Aspen Aerogels, which decided to move into a building on, again, Donald Lynch Boulevard, but they are taking the old Sports Authority building, which most of you, I'm sure, are familiar with, has sat vacant for some time. So we're really excited about that. They're finishing up their construction, coming over and bringing a bunch of jobs over there as well, taking 60,000 square feet. So we're excited about that. Resilience moved to Crowley Drive, which is the old LFB building, which was there for some time. They came in, they've actually added on to the building, and they're going to have 200 plus jobs at that site as well. Again, a wonderful sign of things that are happening here in Marlborough. LPC constructed a 120,000 square foot building on Nickerson Drive on spec. It's actually one of two spec buildings for GMP, which is manufacturing here in Marlborough. Again, a wonderful thing, a wonderful sign of the market here in Marlborough, so we're really excited about that. We secured another MassWorks grant for $2 million. We just found that out last week, so we're excited about that. Our shuttle bus that we launched a couple years ago is back up and running. We're bringing folks from the commuter station in Southborough to and from our office parks, and we have more riders than we did pre-COVID, so we're excited about that as well. We're still going strong with a lot of our branding campaigns. The Phantom Gourmet is still really working that relationship for our hospitality industry. It's become a wonderful relationship with them, and we're really excited to continue with that. We just shot our 28th episode this morning of Exploring Economic Development. Many of you in this room have been guests. Thank you so much for doing that. And we kind of tallied it up. We've had over 15,000 views of the podcast to date. So we're really excited about that, continuing to get our name out there. And the most exciting thing that happened over the past year is this project right here. So a lot of people, a lot of years. Yes, agreed. I'm not going to speak about it because there's other people here that are going to speak about it for the next couple of minutes, but an amazing project that we're really excited about. So with that, I'm going to introduce our mayor, longest serving mayor of Marlborough, who we're very excited to work with, Arthur Regent.
Thank you, Meredith, and thank you all for coming, because we get projects like this done because of all your help. We have old board members or founding members of the MEDC that is with us tonight. We have current members and new members. We have small corporations and large corporations. We have city councilors that are here, former city councilors. It's just a great group that comes together, and this is what's made MEDC successful for a number of years now. I'm only going to talk real quickly about this project, but the day after it was approved by the city council, Attorney Bergeron called me and said, does the city council have any idea how big a deal this was? And I said, I don't think they do. And that's when Meredith came up with the idea of let's just have something on site, a little presentation, and try to explain to people that haven't been around for 40 years to see the train depot come down. They've been looking for something to do in this neighborhood since that happened. And so this really is a big deal. And I want to thank Councilor Roby, and I know she's here somewhere. Councilor Roby, Council President Ossing, and the entire City Council, because this is a big deal. And without their support and without their vote, we wouldn't have this project. So thank you all very, very much. So I want to say one of the old councilors and maybe one of the old historians in the city, but I do have Doug Rowe here that knows everything about everything that's gone on in the city for the last 30, 40 years, Doug? Probably double that, but Arthur Bergeron originally served on the city council many, many years ago, and I was just joking with Liz that, and he wrote more than half of the ordinances in the city over the last 40 years, representing a bunch of developers. And, you know, it really is a big deal, this project, and I wanted to ask Arthur to just come and say a few words about it. A few words. The good thing is Arthur has to leave, like in a couple minutes. So we're only going to hear the short version. So with that, Attorney Arthur Bergeron.
Well, so much for the long version. So, yeah, I was asked to speak a little bit because I do know something about this project, and as a matter of fact, but to start at where the end should be, this project exemplifies one of the reasons why MEDC exists, right? Arthur Vision, one of the two times that I've heard Arthur Vision say this is a big deal at the city council. One was when he and a group of other councilors created the rooms tax surcharge, which is supporting MEDC, and MEDC has been transformative of this community. The second time that he said something was a big deal was the Apex Center. That really is a big deal, right? So when Arthur says this is a big deal, I agree with him. So, but let me tell you why. They're going to talk to you about, and the developer's going to talk to you about how great the project is. But let me tell you why nothing was going to happen here, nothing without MEDC. There were three owners here. We're sitting on one of the parcels, right? Owned by a guy named Neil Facile for a long time. After he bought this site, I remembered this site because when I was a little kid, I never remembered it being the train station. The train was gone. I remember this as Old Man Brigham's gas station, right? There was this old guy, and I was a little kid, and the Old Man Brigham was already pretty old when I would go by. And it was this, it was the old train station, a couple pumps outside. I mean, you can imagine the classic kind of old beat up, right, gas station. And then Old Man Brigham died, right? Sooner or later, they all die. So. And then it became formerly Old Man Brigham's gas station, and it was just sitting around. And then Neil Facile bought it. And Neil is a developer. We all know Neil, right? Or we had known Neil, who had been developing for a long time. And he bought it, why? Just on spec. He bought it on spec because he figured at some point this was going to be worth a lot of money. So he sat, right? And over the years, he would offer it for sale, and someone would make an offer, and would say, oh, okay, I'll buy it. And he'd say, oh, nope. I just raised the price, and that continued to happen, perhaps even until he died, right? So that was, and he bought it, and I remember now. It was after I realized. So he bought it, and one of the first things that Neil Facile did was to tear down the train station, tear down the old train station. There was this famous thing that happened then. There was a woman named Jennifer Valianti, and I remember Jennifer. When I was on the city council back in the 70s, she was one of my volunteers. Leafleting. So I remember her. She later went to college, went to law school, but she was from a family member of this classic Frank Valianti, worked for the Public Works Department, classic blue-collar FDR Democrat, hardcore. So Jennifer had actually, I wasn't here to see this, but I believe, actually chained herself to one of the pumps at the gas station. This was the 60s. At least she thought it was. It was really the 80s, but it was, right? To keep the pumps from coming down. So anyway, Jennifer went, the train station, and now it's sitting vacant. It's just sitting vacant. On, and oh, now it's offered for sale. Somebody offers, oh no, that wasn't enough, blah, 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 right? So that's this site. Then there's the second site. What's about to happen is on 4 pieces of land. This is one. The second site is next door. It's the old Johnson Claflin factory, right? Owned by Johnson Claflin, of which Johnson was still alive in the 80s and 90s. So in the late 90s, I and some friends, we had created something called the Community Development Corporation. And what we were going to try to do, we're a good citizen, nonprofit, try to encourage some development in Marlborough. So I got a group of people together, Mayor Morrow, Al Lima, who was our planner, and some other folks. We found Johnson. He was retired. He was living in Falmouth, right? We drove down a couple of cars. Now we're sitting with this guy Johnson. We're saying, look, we realize there's a bunch of parcels. We need to lock up one so that we can deal with everybody else. How about this? How about if the CDC offers you an option on the property. We'd like to take an option. We said, well, how much? Well, you know, it's assessed for like $600,000. Oh no, I want $4 million. Oh, well, that's kind of a markup, you know. He said, oh yeah, you the government, you got all kinds of money. I want $4 million, right? Well, so that deal went nowhere, and that was around 2000. So now that's 22 years ago, and in the meantime, those buildings have just sat. They've just sat, and there's been a few tenants and this and that. Nothing has happened to those buildings. Then there's the third site, the one that's on the corner. If you look down the street, what's called the old Granary building. It's now been a used car place for quite a few years. I know the guy that owned that one, right? I'm not going to name names, but he, like everybody else, was playing the same game. There's 3 owners. Everybody wants to be the last guy that's going to sell so that he can make a boatload of money. So they're all waiting for the others to sell. Nothing happens year after year. The 4th owner, by the way, was the city of Marlborough, because there was a stub of that rail trail that came into this site, right? So then, finally, Neil Facile died. Something changed. The estate needed some money. So now, who was the estate going to sell to? What was going to happen here? Like, never would you get anybody that was going to get the whole site developed, right? Because no one was going to have time. They were going to look at this one site and they were going to do something. A gas station, a Walgreens, or whatever, right? But instead, there existed the MEDC. So the mayor was able to go back down to the city council and say, look, we're not going to buy this land. Oh, God, we don't want the liability. We're the city, yada, 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 right? But we can give the MEDC some money to buy the land, right? $1 million to buy the land and sit on it, right? So now MEDC buys it, and now they do an RFP, right? And the RFP is, you know, what do you want to do with this land? Blah, blah, blah. Except that anybody who's responding is saying, well, I can't do anything with this land. I can only do something with everything, right? They get an offer, right? And now this guy failed. MEDC bought 4 years ago, 5 years ago, right? But only MEDC, because they had the community in mind, was able to keep sitting and saying, we're going to hold out here, right? Finally, the plan you're about to see, those guys showed up. You know, one of those gold standard, national, big deal, beautiful, all this stuff, right? And because they knew they could get the discount on the land from here, they were able to overpay to the other 2 parcels so they could put it all together. So now it's really going to happen, because the city had the ability to say, well, yeah, we bought this for $1 million. We're not going to get anything at the closing, but what we are getting is we're getting some things. We're getting some land, but that's all the chump change. What we're really getting is buildings that in the first year generate over $500,000 in taxes to the city. So within 2 or 3 years, they will have made more than what they paid for this land, and then it just keeps happening. But more important, right? And I know this is too long, I'm sorry. But more important, for years.
This is what we were worried about.
I grew up on French Hill, right? And it's a wonderful neighborhood. And you kept saying, how are we ever going to make French Hill happen? But French Hill can't happen as long as Lincoln Street is crummy. Because the crumminess of Lincoln Street just migrates to the neighborhood. This is the beginning of the restoration of my old neighborhood. And I'm really excited about that. So, that's a long story, but as I started, this is the great illustration of why MEDC is important. Thank you very much.
You'll never hear me say Lincoln Street is crummy, by the way. Councilor Irish, I'm looking at you.
This is why he's done so well in making money from city business, because he goes to the city council and that's what he does.
That's what he does. That's right.
He's been great. He had great stories. And with that, Meredith.
Yes. So it's my pleasure to introduce to all of you our partner in this project, Jim Lambert from Wood Partners, who's being talked to by Arthur Bergeron. Arthur, you got to get out of here.
Wow, that's a tough act to follow. I'm going to assume most of that was true. Thank you. As far as that?
As far as you know.
That's right. That's right. Well, thank you for having me tonight. Really appreciate it. It's great to see everyone out here tonight, and the fact that we're standing here next to these renderings of this project, we're all very excited. First of all, I want to thank Meredith and her team at the MEDC. I mean, the experience that we've had with your group from day one, the mayor, the city council, the site plan review committee, everybody in this city has been amazing. It's very unusual for me to say that, having developed all around the state. But I can truly say that our experience to get to this point, and we're not there yet, we're not all the way there yet, but we're making great progress, we'll talk about that in a second, has been truly cooperative, productive, and while not 100% seamless all the way through, it's a permitting process. It's as good of a process that we've experienced at Wood Partners.
Tell all your friends, Jim.
Yeah, we will. Well, or we'll keep it a secret so we can do more. I'd like to recognize Mike Bennett, who's in the back of the room over there. Mike's the principal for the architectural team. The architectural team is our architect in this project, and you'll see 2 renderings up front here, and there's one outside that show what this beautiful project's going to look like. That's thanks to Mike and his team that has been working with us from day one, and they're a partner of ours in most of the projects that we do around Massachusetts. So thanks, Mike. We really appreciate your efforts, and looking forward to bringing this one out of the ground with you. There's been a lot said about the history of this site, so I won't rehash that. And the folks who spoke before me, the mayor, Arthur, Meredith, know a lot more about it than I do. I've learned a lot along the way, but what I can touch on is a little bit about what was said in terms of bringing this process together. We were called by a local broker some number of months back, last year, 2 years ago, can't remember what it was, and they had this property for sale. It was the one next door, the commercial buildings. And he said, "This is a great location. You guys should look at it." And we had worked on another project with him previously, and we said, "Yeah, that is a great location." I was very intrigued. We obviously know Marlborough well. There's other Class A apartment buildings in the city, but nothing in this area. So when we saw that, we said, "Man, that would be different. That would be a game changer." But it was just not large enough, and that was touched upon by Arthur before. We're a big company. We do bigger projects. In this case, to make something truly transformative, you have to go all the way. You have to move the needle. And just doing that middle parcel with somebody else doing this corner and somebody else doing the other corner, or that staying what it is, for 10, 20 years just wouldn't do it. So, we said to him, "Hey, we've got to get it all." And I know you've heard that before. So he hooked us up with Meredith, and from there, it really took off. We went in and met with the mayor, walked out of that meeting. We were so excited. We're going to start this thing tomorrow. But it wasn't that easy. So, we, with Meredith's help and, through some tough negotiations with some of the other landowners, we were able to assemble 4 parcels. Well, it's really more than that, but it's really 4 sellers, I'll say, including, a tenant, and there's a couple of businesses that are being run that have to relocate. So a very complicated process that we had to navigate, and really, really, truly thankful that we were able to get through that, put them all together, and get in front of the city finally, in front of the city council. And I'd like to thank the city councilors for, again, a cooperative process. I think we came in there with a concept. We got a lot of great ideas, both from the councilors, also from the community. We had multiple meetings with the community, including on the site here, where we held what we call balloon test. We fly the balloons up to the height of the building. A lot of folks came out. We walked the site. We heard a lot of really good ideas, both there and in the meetings. We made some changes. We had some negotiation with the councilors, and we think we came out of it with a really great project that everybody can be proud of. Everybody won. We tweaked here and there. We added some affordability. I want to say, and I want to put a little bit more emphasis on what we're doing off-site, I think, than Arthur did. We're going to be rebuilding the corner parcel into a parking lot with a restroom facility for public use. Both the parking and the facility will be for public use.
Jim, it looks like the old train station, right?
And it does. It's more than a nod to the old train station. And that's so important on the corner, the strategic location of that, on the corner of the rail trail, so that people can drive up, park right in front of there, go for a walk, come back, hopefully go and have lunch or dinner in the retail that we're going to be building in the building, which hopefully on that corner will be a restaurant. That's our hope. That's what it's going to be set up for. Fireflies too. So, that's a really important parcel, and I think, where we landed on that, I think that's going to get a ton of use by the public. And when you're in this process, right, of trying to permit a development of this scale, obviously it's important that you're providing public benefit, and we think that's a great one. And then on the other side of the rail trail, we're going to be repaving the Jefferson Street lot, putting in a ramp down to the rail trail, landscaping, lighting, and just really cleaning that up so that's a much more usable parcel for the public as well. So we're really proud of those two components as well, and I think they're going to be very important. Real quickly, and then I'll wrap up. So I'm sure you've read and you've talked about it, but the stats on the project, right? It's 276 apartment units. 10% of those will be affordable. And then, very importantly, we've got 10,000 square feet of brand new retail that we're going to be building on the ground floor up and down Lincoln Street, turning the corner on Mechanic. So the presence here to augment what's already here for the local businesses, we think is going to be truly amazing. There hasn't been anything new built for retail in a long time. We're going to have parking, new parallel parking on Lincoln and Mechanic Street for folks to visiting the retail, as well as the 22 spaces that will be public, so people will use those for retail as well, I'm sure. It's really going to create a sense of place here, and it's going to help boost not only what's here on this site, but the entire downtown. So we believe it's truly going to be a transformative and a building block for future development and for the downtown to continue to progress in the future. So we're really excited about that. A lot of people have asked, we're hoping to get the project started in the spring. It's a very long process to design a project of this scale, which we've started. We're in the middle of with Mike and his team. And our plan right now is in late spring to get started, put shovels in the ground, and get this thing built. And we're looking forward to a groundbreaking. So again, thank you very much. Really appreciate it. Any questions, let me know.
Isn't that phenomenal? Right? No, that's what it's all about. And thank you all so much for being here with us. This is our 16th year of MEDC. Last year was 15 years, so we're on to the next 5. Maybe we'll make it to 20 if we're lucky. But thank you all for being here. Thanks to the City Council, to the Mayor, to all of our board members, everybody in the room that has made everything that we've done thus far possible. And we look forward to what's next. So without further ado, we've got Firefly's Barbecue here. Please grab some food. We're going to get John from Chill into the new commercial space is coming up. It's going to be really good. But we've got Melinda and JP from La Chaux as well serving up coffee. We've got beer. We've also got cocktails, which they don't do at the shop, but we're doing it here. So we're excited about that. Please mingle. Yeah, mingle, have fun, enjoy, and thank you very much for being here.